If you are a fan of Rick and Morty, or the equally awesome show Solar Opposites, you will not want to miss the latest title from Justin Roiland's Squanch Games, High on Life. Making its debut on Game Pass last month, High on Life takes you on a wild journey in the shoes of an unmotivated high school graduate who is thrown in the middle of an intergalactic drug trade where humans are discovered to be the latest and greatest high. With nothing on your plate and a world to save, what else makes sense but to become a bounty hunter and save humankind? This game has stellar writing, laughs around every corner, and some pretty satisfying gameplay. But if you don't have Game Pass, is it worth the $80 Canadian? Let's take a closer look. High on Life marks the fourth release from Squanch Games, and runs on the popular Unreal Engine 4 to bring the alien worlds to life with vibrant graphics, unique gameplay, and colorful commentary. The game boasts a stellar voice cast with several stars joining the team, and Rick and Morty's Justin Roiland at the helm. With this talented crew and Roiland's next level comedic writing, I had been looking forward to this game since it was announced at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase, and after playing through the entire game several times now, I feel confident breaking down the many pros and very few cons that I have run into. The game starts off strong, throwing you directly into a 90s Wolfenstein style game that instantly starts delivering on the comedic gold as you make your way through a quick setup and tutorial.
Alright Buck, you're gonna have to use the brand new double jump to get over there. Oh shit, I'm sorry Buck, I forgot there's no double jump, just crouch. We gotta try crouching, Buck.
You are eventually interrupted by your sister and are allowed to choose between a few preset characters, which you never see again and as such don't have any effect on the game. Upon completion, you are prompted to follow her outside where an alien base warps into the middle of the street. We then see the evil Garmantuous discover the potential the human race has to become the latest craze in the galactic drug market that is controlled by his G3 cartel. After the messenger has been dispatched, we meet our first Gatlian, Kenny, who after speaking a bunch of gibberish starts your friendship by spitting in your face. But don't worry, that's just kind of how it works.
Did that thing just spit on
Finally!
You.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
sorry about the spit. I needed to get you infected with the translator microbe. That's sort of how it works.
He then goes on to explain what is happening to your world and helps you build a warp drive for your house so you can jump to safety. This jump takes you right into Blim City and your adventure begins.
out there? Into space?
Yeah! Welcome to fucking space!
You quickly meet a retired bounty hunter named Gene, who ends up weaseling his way onto your couch in return for his old bounty hunter equipment. Once you retrieve some of the parts from the local pawn shop, you are sent on your first bounty, which leads you into the slums of Blim City in search of Ninetorg and Gene's mouthy Gatlian named Knifey, setting the tone for the rest of the game.
Yes, thank you. Pleased to meet you. I'm Knifey. Now use me. Let me fucking stab these cocksuckers. Oh, fuck yes. Yes, fuck yes. More. I need more stabbing.
While completing bounties as the game progresses, you will acquire pesos that can be spent at various shops across the different worlds. These shops allow you to purchase upgrades for your Gatlians and bounty hunter suit that unlock powerful abilities that will help you along your journey. As you acquire more Gatlians and upgrades, you will also unlock the ability to visit new locations within the worlds you have previously visited as well, adding a small amount of replayability. Pesos can also be found within lugloxes, which are hidden all over the various locations in the game. Some are right out in the open, and others are quite cleverly hidden. Upon opening them,
Oh my god.
What did you just do?
these boxes give 1, 2, or 300 pesos, and sometimes include an upgrade or collectible trading card. Finding all the lugloxes and cards in the game will also earn you a couple of achievements if you're into such things. You can also earn a small number of pesos by killing enemies, normally 1 to 10. To rate this game properly, let's look at it from a few different perspectives, including the story, combat and gameplay, replayability, user interface, and finally graphics and world design. As mentioned, this game is stacked with Hollywood talent from the ground up, and has writing that amounts to comedic gold throughout the game. With hidden jokes found around every corner and constant banter from your alien arsenal, this is one of the best written games I have ever played. This is however offset by the fact that this is also a very short game, when the fact that it's single player only comes to mind. There are some hidden side stories and as mentioned hidden items to be found, but there are only a handful of storyline bosses before you face the final mission, and then you just kind of wander around aimlessly with little to do aside from collecting the remaining lugloxes and trading cards. You can also try to unlock all the forum posts in your menu for another achievement. Next, let's look at the combat and gameplay. Due to the nature of the Gatlians and each of their unique abilities, combat evolves drastically throughout the game, with upgrades for each gun further evolving their combat abilities. The upgrades available for your suit bring some variety to fights as well. However, what does not change much are the enemies themselves. Most foes that you will face appear relatively early in the game, and then reappear at almost every fight, with a few exceptions of course. Making this worse, outside of bounties, the same foes appear at the same locations each time they are visited, furthering the repetitiveness. This is especially true once you unlock Creature, allowing you to lazy aim and let his little guys do all the work for you. Luckily, the bounties do switch up the gameplay a bit with different puzzles to figure out along the way, and the boss battles themselves are quite unique to each other, carrying with them a certain nostalgia for the old side-scroller style of games, especially in the final battle against Gargantuous. Moving on, we have the replayability category, and unfortunately I think this is where the game starts to fall a little short, with a couple of exceptions. As previously mentioned, there are only a handful of bounties for you to complete before starting the final mission, and the game does start to get a bit repetitive, but there are a few decisions that you make throughout the game dialogue that can affect some outcomes later on in the game, which can warrant a second playthrough. Aside from trying to find the remaining Lugloxes, however, there are not a lot of things to do once the story is completed, meaning you could complete the game twice within a week or two and experience all that it has to offer with all achievements completed. There are hidden dialogues and experiences throughout the game, but most of these can be found along your way. Next up we have the user interface. Starting things off, you get 3 save slots and you can't save to a new slot mid-game, meaning you can't create a separate save and then come back to it if you want to try something different. Once into the game, the menus act as the suit's operating system, allowing you to swap upgrades for your suit and galleons on the fly, check out your trading cards, or visit one of the forums. You will also find a few settings to control your audio and video preferences, as well as some very limited controller settings. As of right now, there is also no button mapping, so you will have to get used to LB being your interact button, which I found a little odd. The stick response curve took some getting used to as well, and I found myself using hipfire more than anything. The aim assist is quite strong however, so it was relatively easy to get over not having more controls for the aim. The HUD is minimal and clean as well, showing your health, armor, and ammo count, as well as a small radar style map. Speaking of maps, there doesn't seem to be one at all, so make sure to keep an eye on landmarks as you are learning the locations. Last but not least on the category list are the graphics and world design. There isn't much to say about a game's graphics these days, with most graphics being limited only by specific design choices. High on Life is no exception to this rule. The characters across the worlds are fairly cartoony, but hold a certain level of detail upon closer inspection. The worlds themselves are extremely detailed, with tons of immersive bits packed into every inch. Each world carries its own unique style, with several different routes to allow you to explore them fully. This is where the stellar writing comes back into play, between the interactions with the aliens around the different locations, down to the posters on the walls and the commercials playing on the TVs, this game just oozes immersion. There are even 4 full-length movies that play in your house as the game progresses. As a bonus category, I would like to touch quickly on the bugs within the game. As of writing, there have been 3 patches released for the game so far, fixing a wide variety of bugs, some of which were game-breaking. I haven't run into many myself after playing through the game a few times now, aside from the achievement bugs. Those were preventing me from getting all gamerscore from this game, but with the latest patch that also seems to have been fixed now, as I was able to get the final achievement I needed. I did notice that the hook bugs are still overspawning in certain locations, and the forum navigation is still a bit off, but I'm sure those will be fixed in time. I was pretty disappointed with the number of bugs that shipped with the game. I understand all games ship with some bugs at launch, and it is to be expected. But with it being so short of a game, single player only, and shipped after a 2-month delay, I at least expected the achievements to track properly. In summary, I loved the story, and the game was extremely well written, but I was quite disappointed in how short it was, again considering it has no multiplayer or real side missions. The combat and gameplay are good, but I couldn't help but feel that they got a bit repetitive earlier on in the game than they should have. A bit more variety in the enemies in the game may have gone a long way. Outside of a second playthrough to make a few different choices, or sticking around to collect the remaining hidden Lugloxes and unlock the forum posts, there isn't a ton of drive to play this game over and over, severely hindering its replayability. The UI is clean and straightforward, but I would have loved to see a few more controller options, especially regarding the response curves and button mapping. The latest patch did introduce keybinds for PC though, so we will see if more controller options are coming in the future. The graphics and world design are quite unique and detailed, with tons of story-driven immersion packed into each world, and after several patches now, most of the bugs have been squashed. With all of that considered, I would have to rank this game as 6.5 out of 10. 6 felt too low and 7 just felt too high. The writing is impeccable, the gameplay is fun, and the weapons are very overpowered, but it is just so disappointing that it's already over. with only 7 bounties total including the final battle against Garmantuous, and really only 3 worlds for you to visit, I felt like the game was over in a blink of an eye. As a Game Pass title, that is not the end of the world, but as a full-priced $80 game, it is seriously lacking. My recommendation, if you have Game Pass, definitely check it out. It will be a week or two of solid laughs and decent gameplay. But if you are buying this game, I would strongly suggest waiting until you see it in the bargain bins or one of the digital sales that pop up, because it is not worth the full price tag. If you've already played the game, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting the like button, and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, keep gaming.